Hey guys, just a quick update. It's the weekend, it's Friday, July 2nd. I dropped a video a couple of days ago where we were pruning the tomato plants and taking a look and see if we could ripen them up faster because of the heat. Today we're having high 90s heat here in the north. So I'm going to be also pruning the peppers today just to see if I can get them to ripen up a little bit sooner. But also I want to show you an update on the tomatoes. So guys, all I'm doing right now is just going through the pepper plants, starting on one end to the other, and just giving my pepper plants a pruning. You're not going to kill them. They'll actually most likely benefit from a pruning, because if you're in a situation like we are right now with the high 90s heat, it will actually start branching out and going crazy. There's just so many leaves, for one plant. I mean, this whole thing here is one entire plant, and look at all of the leaves. It's branched off. It's got 2 leaders, just probably because I didn't get a chance to come in and take off the leaders and sort of pick one. So if you actually just start going up just up the stem, you just lean down here. If you actually just start going up the stem and just giving them a little bit of a pruning, we don't need this leaf. I mean, these leaves are huge. If you start actually just giving them a little bit of pruning, it will actually help any fruit that you've got sitting here, which are minor on the bottom still, to actually ripen. Because what's happening is there's just so many branches and so many leaves that the production, instead of being focused on in the fruit, is actually going into the leaves. So don't be shy to give your pepper plants a pruning. I'm just going around doing the same thing. Take off some of the bottom leaves. You have excess leaves at the bottom that really don't need to be there, and if you just sort of start pruning upwards, you'll actually help your fruit out a bit. Mine's still sitting here green, so let's see. Today's Friday, July the 2nd. Let's see what the fruit does in a couple of days after I've given it a pruning, and we'll go from there. But definitely try pruning some of your fruit pruning some of your plants that are sort of giving you a hard time with ripening. So I just want to point this out really quickly. As I'm going through the peppers, I saw one that looked like this. Now, if you're actually growing undercover, you may come into contact sometimes with peppers that look like this, where they've developed this sort of, dark, tanny sort of spot. That isn't necessarily blossom end rot. If you have an environment, especially if you're growing inside, that is exposed to high light and high heat, just like we've been experiencing the last, I would say, almost week and a half, sometimes what will happen is the sunlight and the heat will damage the pepper walls, and they will begin to turn color on the vine. It's not necessarily blossom end rot or anything like that. It's just that the cell walls have been damaged due to the heat and the light. Now, in the north here, our sun doesn't actually go down sometimes until 9:30 at night, right about now. So my plants in here are exposed to more than 12 hours worth of light a day, and sometimes that can be a hindrance, and you'll run into problems like this. I only ever run into it ever so often, but I just wanted to point that out, that it does, sometimes create an issue on peppers. So far, just peppers. I haven't had the experience of having that on tomatoes, but I just wanted to show you some of the issues that you may experience if you decide that you want to, take the adventure into greenhouse growing. This is what happens sometimes. I've had quite a few people ask me what this plant is here. So guys, I planted cilantro, a lot of cilantro. And if anyone's ever let cilantro go to seed, it comes up with these little pods, these little tiny seeds here, which is very much what it will look like when you receive it in a package from, your local seed company. And then what you can do with this is, if you just let it dry, it's just beginning to dry now, it's turning color, it's turning brown, as opposed to the green. If you just let it dry, you will get the most beautiful coriander that you can actually thresh or cut off the vine and grind it up for coriander spice. Now, what I do with this is I'll save the pods. They get very, very dry. To the point where you just grind them down into a really nice powder, and then I save it for my Christmas cookies in December. So yeah, if you just leave the cilantro alone it will flower, it will go to seed, and you get these beautiful little seeds on here, and then you just take them off. Once they're dry, they turn a very sort of, I would say probably a darker brown, and they're very light. And the smell is amazing. When you actually harvest them when they're dry and then you grind it, your kitchen will smell amazing. So if you haven't given cilantro a chance where you've let it dry completely and gone to seed, this is where you get your coriander spice from. Beautiful, wonderful smell. It's just amazing, also in cookies. So yep, cilantro is awesome. Just very quickly, I just wanted to share my radish plants with you. So some of them, what I've done is I've let them go to seed. This is very woody now, I can't eat this. But what they've done is I've let them go to flower. And then what you'll start to see is your radish will start putting out pods like this. And if you leave them dry on the plant, what will happen is you will actually have radish seeds in these pods that you can just take out and you can keep to replant. Let's see. They're definitely not ready yet. Obviously, they're still green, but I just wanted to pull out just for you to see. See, there you go. So inside, you'll see that they'll have these little seeds, and these seeds will turn brown, very much like what you would get if you were going to order seeds from, you know, your favorite seed store. But you can actually do this on your own. It doesn't really require a lot of effort. And you basically just let these pods brown, dump the seeds out, store them, and they're ready to actually harvest or plant, I mean, for next year. So give it a try. Super simple. It's just something that you can try so that, you know, do you really need to buy radish seeds for next year? Probably not. Not with all these pods. These pods will give you probably about 5 or 6, maybe 7 seeds if you're lucky. So try it. Give it a try. It's pretty cool. So super quick. So on, anyways, a couple days ago, I dropped a video to show that maybe we should be looking at stressing out the tomato plants so that it will change color. So I just wanted to show you the progress. That was only 2 days ago. After the video, what I did was I came in and I single stemmed, basically took the leaves right off this particular plant. So it only has the tomatoes at the bottom and a couple of leaves to make sure that it can actually feed the tomatoes still. But if you notice here, we're starting to have success. By actually pruning the plant, the tomatoes have now started to take on an orangey kind of hue. Let me move this out of the way. And they are turning, finally. Might be a little bit hard for you to see on the camera, but I definitely noticed the color change. But as you can tell, they're sort of now moving from that sort of white, I don't know, white greeny sort of look to more of an orangey type of hue. So the pruning works. The next set over is doing the same thing. It's turning from a really sort of weird whitish green to now starting to orange. So the pruning works. It stresses the plant out. The plant will begin to basically want to put out as much fruit as possible to set seed. So if you do prune it carefully, you can have success with it changing and ripen your tomatoes on the vine. So I just wanted to share that. Let's check it in a couple of days to see, you know, how much more progress we have. Maybe we'll even be able to pick them. Who knows? And guys, the star of the garden, I really have to say this year, even with the peppers happening and the tomatoes, which I'm excited about, is the eggplant. Look at the beautiful eggplant that this is putting on. I have, I'm going to say about 5 of these plants, but each one of them are putting on at least 6 or 7 eggplants all at the same time. I've given these a little bit of a trim because the leaves were just getting so big that I didn't want it to impact the fruit production. So we will be harvesting eggplant in no time. Now, eggplant admittedly does take a long time to grow. These plants have been in the ground, I'm going to say probably about 4 months. But then again, when I look at them, they're probably about, each plant's probably about 3 feet tall. So they've actually taken on quite a bit of height, but they're beautiful. I love looking at the flowers. And I love watching, you know, just watching the eggplant grow. It's actually a really beautiful plant. So the star of the garden this year is the eggplant. It's super happy. It's not necessarily really fussy. You don't really technically have to fertilize it. It's just beautiful. So I just wanted to share. Okay guys, I can't take the suspense anymore. We need to cut one of these watermelons and see what stage it's at for ripening. I'm gonna cross my fingers and let's see if it's actually worth cutting. The other 3 are still on the vine, 3, 4, 5 are still on the vine, but I really want to see where this is in terms of ripening. So these are just sugar babies. Okay, there it goes. So it's still sort of light pink inside, so it might still need, let's cut another. So it still maybe needs another, I'm gonna say maybe, let's say week and a half, I'm gonna say. But it looks beautiful on the inside. There's no damage, no bugs. I have to see what this tastes like. Oh no, guys, I lied. This watermelon is awesome. It's super sweet. I was waiting for it to be a lot more darker than what you're used to in terms of with a watermelon. Sorry, I'm spitting seeds out. But oh my goodness, it's so sugary. It took me by surprise. Usually when watermelons aren't really dark on the inside, they are kind of bland and kind of weird tasting, but this is super, super sweet. So I take it back. This is my first time growing the sugar babies, the mini little watermelons, and this tastes amazing. You gotta try it. 90 days. This is the best little watermelons I think I've ever tasted. Awesome. So I think we're gonna take this up, cut it up, and have it as a cool snack today in the heat. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this journey. A lot of this stuff is experimental for me. I've never grown watermelons undercover before, and it's worked out super great. And hopefully we can start harvesting our tomatoes possibly in the next few days. Thanks so much, guys. I hope you have a happy holiday. I believe it's July 4th coming up, so everybody's probably celebrating. So happy holidays to all. See you soon.